Well, hello, everybody. And we are here from Kennesaw, Georgia, and Arizona, and Chicago, Illinois today. We're going to be talking about stress. And that doesn't scare you. We got stuff that will. Don't worry. So I'm going to bring on Dr. JR from Chicago, Chris Fezjullah from Arizona. And when I do, I'm going to start off with a story about stress that's going to put stress in a whole new perspective for you. You may not feel so bad about what's going on in your life. Here we go. Hi, Dr. JR. Hi, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
So
So
we're going
nice
to
to
talk
be
about
with you tonight.
what?
So nice to be with you tonight.
Likewise, likewise. So I'm going to talk about stress here for a quick second and give people a whole new dynamic about what stress is, right? Like we think about stress about people bothering us, that's stressful, not making it to work on time or whatever, appointment on time, that's stressful, right? But we're going to go do a deeper dive today on stress and how, and I am excited, um, JR, about the three of us collaborated about what we want to chat about today before the show, and I think this is all really good things. But I want people to think about today when they're thinking about stress, how stress impacts your body. What are the sources of stress? So there's three T's: toxins, traumas, thoughts, and how and Jr. Was saying earlier that it's like the number one cause of disease. But I want to share this short story, and then I'm pretty much going to let you guys drive this show. Okay. It has been a hell of a last 12 days. A hell of a last 12 days. And I was going to bed, and at night, I have a fever. Every night, sweating it out.
Mm.
Mm. Did I have a virus? No, I didn't. I can tell you that right now. Mm-mm. Why would I have a fever? Well, maybe because I forgot to change out the water filter for my tap. It got so toxic that the whole house was sick until we figured it out. And as soon as we figured it out and stopped drinking the water, all the symptoms went away. So, my question to you is out there, if you're symptomatic with something, what's your root cause? So, that's what we're going to talk about today and how this impacts our well being. JR, go for it. Start the show. Because I've had a heck of a 12 days. I'm happy to be here, but I just want to tell people that is
Look,
where
well, first off, let me just say I love the fact that the three of us will can connect this evening. So let's just give a kudos for Jodi for organizing this, and for Chris for being a part of this wonderful triad of wisdom, right? But with regards to stress, oh, how should I start this off? Uh, there are, let's just jump right in. There are good stresses and there are bad stresses,
yeah,
right?
you stress, right? Like,
There are good stresses and there are bad stresses. And the fact of the matter is that we live in a world that is in constant movement, right? It's constant movement. Without movement, there is no life, folks. Let's get that clear, point blank and simple, right? So it's constant movement. And that movement is therefore characterized as chaos. Chaos has been denominated negative, okay? In our society, especially here in the West, it's been denominated as something that is negative, that should be fought against, that should be pushed against. When chaos is the number one giver of life. If you look at a sprout that becomes a beautiful orchid, before it becomes an orchid, it has to go through all of the dirt, the mud, and all the chaos that is involved in that in order to bloom into that beautiful orchid. What is uh, what are two cells that merge together in a bombardment called the Big Bang inside the body? That is a mother gene and a father gene merging together to create a bombardment of love and light that creates life. If that is not true chaos, I don't know what is. So chaos is not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is. Okay. There are factors, there are degrees of chaos, whether they are uh, positive influential or negative influential, but chaos is just chaos. Let's just call it what it is. Okay. And therefore, stress falls into that. So, how do we one, the first factor is how do we use positive stress to our benefit? And then secondary is how can we, the word that comes to mind is moderate. How do we moderate the negative stresses of a day of a daily of our day-to-day life? And that is through certain choices that we make that we're going to dive into. And before we dive into, I just want to point out that the choices are habits. Habits create routines. Routines create lifestyles. Lifestyles create either something that is beneficial for the individual or negative towards the individual. That is it, plain and simple. And we can dive into this more. I just wanted to be clear on the differences between good stresses and bad stresses, and how, since we live in this constant world of movement, which can also be categorized as turmoil, right? Within that turmoil comes growth. Within that growth comes birth, comes life. So essentially, without stress, there is no life. So if we change our behavior, our programming, to see that stress can be a good factor or a bad factor, then we will be better off.
Awesome. Chris?
I agree with you 100%, JR. Um, I actually don't view chaos as a negative thing because within chaos, like you said, is creation. And when you can start to put together all the pieces in there, you see it as a perfect working actually machine. And the goal really is to learn how to move through stress as opposed to fight against stress, because that's typically what we end up doing. We end up internally in our head fighting against that stress as opposed to moving through that stress, because we're always going to have stress, like you said. Always. It's a part of life, it's part of change. Um, Once I figured out, oh, maybe I shouldn't fight against the stress, but rather move through it, right? Find ways to elevate my spirit and my soul when I am experiencing those intense moments of bad or negative stress. Um, I became a much happier person because I quit holding on to it. Even if in the moment something happens and that big stress occurs, and man, stand in the middle of your living room and let it out. Yell at the top of your lungs as loud as you can for as long as you can if you need to. Heck, years ago, I hung a dang punching bag, a full size punching bag in my basement because arsenic poisoning made me very angry. Um, and I didn't know why, but rather than, holding it in, because that's what creates all the dis-ease within the physical body and the spirit, it was better for me to release it. And for me, releasing stress in a physical way was very helpful. Whether it was down there, letting that punching bag have whatever tripped my trigger in the moment, or, you know, just letting it out. It feels so good. I saw an older lady on one of the talk shows, and I can't remember the Steve Harvey or show, and she was over 100 years old, and he asked her, "What is your secret to long life?" And you know what she said to him? "Oh, honey, cuss a lot, and cuss when you get mad. Let it out." And I thought, oh,
My husband does not like it when I cuss. I got to tell you now. I
let
get
it
in big
out.
trouble every time I cuss. It causes more stress and dis-ease.
Exactly. Just let it out. Get rid
Well,
of
I
it.
like to let it out. He doesn't like it when I use my cuss words. I like my cuss
The
words.
number one therapy. I'm sorry, Chris. I just want to add this. I don't mean to cut you off, but the number one therapy that everyone should do. I'm going to go ahead and say 3 times a week, just for a good number. 3 times a week, take a pillow to your face and scream out of the top of your lungs and just let it out.
Oh,
The
yeah.
reason why stress causes such states of dis-ease, why stress is the number one factor to disease in the human body, is because we do not let it out. So we either implode or explode. Explode is punching the wall or screaming into a pillow. If you're able to get to before the stages of punching the wall, implosion is a cancer. Continue, please, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Let it out. And once you figure that out and you start learning your triggers, look, like I really had to take a deep look and figure out what is my trigger before I hit anger and that big amount of stress. My trigger is frustration. So I know if I'm getting frustrated and I don't deal with that right away, my next step is I'm angry, very stressed out, vibrating, yeah.
And the house comes down.
Right.
The house comes down because you're
Exactly.
vibrating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my husband goes, "Ooh, I think I have something else to do." But find ways to move through stress. Find ways to elevate your soul. You know, when you can't quiet the mind, because I don't know, a lot of people have financial stresses right now. Maybe you have a big financial stress that you just can't shut the mind off of. I will put my earbuds in, turn music on, put my tap shoes on, or grab my drum and just sit there and do and listen until the mind is quiet, along with humming. Hum. Just pick a tone that feels good. It does not have to sound pretty. Hum. That's all you have to do. Sooner or later, you do it enough. Your whole mind, your nervous system, everything comes back down. And guess what? Stress isn't so bad. You're thinking a little more clearly, and you're on your way to moving through it as opposed to fighting against it.
You know, there are people. I'm just gonna mirror myself in a second. But there are people that hold on to emotions and they linger and they linger and they linger. And especially if you're frustrated or let's just call it what it is. You're pissed off at something and it lingers and it lingers and it lingers and it lingers. And you have no outlet because, you know, the person you want to let it go onto just either won't be receptive or you're going to lash out a little bit too hard, which happens. So it lingers and lingers and lingers. And what happens is that you just pop, right? And that's the area we want to stay clear of. Whenever there's an emotion that pops up, there's funny. It's funny. There was a study done. Oh, don't get me wrong. Harvard in 2017. I could be very wrong on my dates, but there was a study, nevertheless, that was done that stated that grief, no matter what stage of grief, you could have lost a loved one or a parent, or you know, the stages of grief that are deeply hurtful, for lack of a better word. We can spend decades, 20, 30, 40 years in a state of grief. Yet, when grief is experienced fully in 100%. And this could be done either through guided meditation, hypnosis, or the person chooses to do so. Okay. When grief is experienced 100%, in exactly 45 minutes, it is cleared.
You got to
Okay,
deal with it.
that does not mean that the grief does not remain. You know, that doesn't mean that you lost a loved one, you have no more griefs. That just means that you've expressed your grief in a way that is adequately that is adequate for you to integrate and process to the best of your ability. So if you sit with grief, and this is for any other emotion for that matter, whether it's anger, frustration, irritability, sadness, worry, whatever the case may be, if you sit with it 100% and acknowledge and accept the fact that you are in that state of dis-ease for 45 minutes or less, you will experience that emotion fully. You will either have an expression of it or not, and that emotion will fly by you. You will be able to let go of that emotion with ease.
But I think that it's important to discuss. Here's where I think the fallacy is. Let's say Chris gets triggered by her husband. We're going to use something really simple. He leaves the toothpaste cap off the toothpaste. Okay. Let's say he just does that and it pisses Chris off. And she asked him to do it, right? But she can't seem to control. She just gets pissed off. Right? Where it's really something you can just look the other way because it really doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you'll get less toothpaste. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So what I'm trying to have people understand is that there's a root cause. The cap isn't the cause, and the person not putting the cap on isn't the cause. And what I want people to really understand, because I'm still recovering, my energy is not good on this platform tonight. And it's because I'm still detoxing from chemicals. And I think you all need to know that. Then when you have chemicals in your body, you are now reactive. I don't care who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you're in a state of dis-ease, you're going to be reactive.
Yeah. So I put in here the causes of stress, right? So EMF, if you're not neutralizing the electromagnetic frequencies in your home, your car, on your body, on your phone, on different devices, your blood flow, your blood's clumping. How do you think that makes you feel? You've got radiation, like on your body. Now let me just really magnify this shit for you. I'm too real. So the radiation, the 5G and all that, it connects really well with heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're eating foods that are conventional, or you're not filtering your water, boom, chaka-laka, laka, laka, right? Now you are the puppet on a string. Because that EMF tower, they're pushing it up, pushing it down, up, down, up, down, and you are the puppet.
So the reason behind that is because all the toxins, all the heavy metals, all that stuff in your food, in your water, and everything you eat clogs your physical body's filtering system. Understand?
Yes.
Your body cannot process that stuff. And when you clog a filtering system, it will impact every other system function, especially if it goes unaddressed and on for way too long.
Well, for me, it was for freaking 12 days. That was like a lifetime for me. I was like, I told God, you either get rid of this stuff that's going on in my body or take me now. And you know what he said? Change your flipping filter.
Yeah, it's important.
No, I
No,
wish I could make this up because I was pissed off. I said, either fix this now or let's get out. I'm done. I'm not going to suffer for 12 days straight. I'm not a person who chooses to suffer. I have no bandwidth for suffering. I know a lot of people do. Suffering's not my gig. But I want to point out something. Those heavy metals and all those endocrine disruptors and all that other good stuff, yeah, comes from your food and your water. It's also coming from your cleaning supplies and your makeup, women. Men, your shaving cream, your deodorant. The aluminum in your deodorant is not doing a whole lot of good for your brain. So you need to look at this. And then the other two things I'm going to say, which are not chemically related, when you're not living by your highest values and you're people pleasing, right? You're giving your power away. And that's a whole nother thing. But it isn't stress that when coupled with all the toxins in your food and water and your makeup and your personal care items and your cleaning items, it wreaks havoc. And while I'm mad at myself for not figuring out the water for 12 flipping days, and I'll have to get over it, don't worry, and I will. Like, I'm glad it happened because you all need to really hear it. Because what happened to me right away as a canary in the coal mine will happen to you over time.
Oh, absolutely.
Or it's already happening and you think it's normal. It's not. It's common, not normal.
You know what?
Let me-
I think more,
Sorry.
can I say something real quick? I think more often than not, the little things are written off as either age, normal, or, it just, and we write them off. And I think a lot of us, in fact, most of us write off all those little signs and symptoms that actually are really very important and do say a lot about what's going on with your health.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not normal.
Mm-mm.
And we need to get used to letting our healthcare professionals know, those little things. Like I read somebody a few days ago, and there's a problem going on in the pancreas. Well, the pancreas gets blocked, causes a problem, opens up, flows. It's impacting their eyes, their vision. They're like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I've noticed I've had to wear my glasses a lot more the last few weeks. I can't really see. Well, whoever would think to tell their doctor, oh, I'm having to wear my glasses a little bit more, a lot more often, and I'm having a problem with my eyes. And then that doctor understand it's tied to pancreatic function.
Well, and the thing is, though, they have to be trained like Dr. JR. So they have to have no, I'm not kidding, because your MDs are not trained for this. They're not connecting the dots. The MDs are looking for, like,
Right.
Here's an organ, and let's slap this sticky note on that organ, right? You come to Dr. JR, come to you, come to me. We're looking at whole body health. Go ahead, Dr. JR. I feel you have something to say.
There are a couple of factors I want to touch upon. One, there's nothing wrong with Western medicine. I want to be very clear on this. Okay, Western medicine is a paradigm of medicine that is extremely necessary for what it is good for.
Yeah.
And that is a symptomatic medicine. Let's call it what it is. It's a symptomatic medicine. So if you have trauma, if you need to go to the ER, go to the ER and go to the operation room so that you can have the surgeries you need. Please do so. That is the
from that perspective, I'm in agreement. I think Western medicine is great for emergencies.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't know what you were saying, but if it's
no, that's what I'm saying.
You have a heart attack, you have a broken leg,
It's a symptom-based medicine. So if you have a 911 case, then please go to your ER, do the necessary, and get your vessel, what I call the vessel or the temple, I interchange them. Get your vessel back into shape, okay? And then come see either a functional medicine doctor or a holistic practitioner or someone that works in the whole picture of the individual, because there are a lot of practitioners that, whether it's in energy work, whether it's in mind body therapy, whether it's in functional medicine, whether it's in movement therapy, whatever the case may be, whatever resonates with you at that time, please go see your practitioner, okay, of wellness and care, so that they can adjust, make the necessary adjustments. And I use the word adjustments, not in chiropractic care. I'm just saying lifestyle adjustments, so that you can reclaim your optimal state of being. And that optimal state of being is a state of alignment. And what is the alignment? It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and on the top of that triad is consciousness. Okay, so if you have that beautiful natural state of harmony and balance, which we will call homeostasis in Western sciences, excuse me, then there is no state, there's no reason for there to be a state of dis-ease. Okay, life then becomes easy. Okay, so stress being the number one factor to a state of dis-ease. Okay, why? Because it causes inflammation in the body. That is a known fact. Look it up. You could find more research on that. It causes hormone disbalances. Again, look it up. There's more research on that. I'm not going to go into what it does.
Physical pain. When you are stressing out, pay attention to your body, because
Exactly.
you're feeling a physical pain somewhere in there.
The perfect example I love to use. I'm sorry, real quick. The perfect example I love to use about how an external stress can affect the body is a broken heart.
Oh, for sure.
A broken heart is a psychoactive component. Yes, we know this. However, we know concretely that it has a physical manifestation within the heart. So now we're looking at a psycho-visceral manifestation of your emotion. That's powerful. A broken heart is in fact a broken heart, and people have perished, people have lost their lives because of a broken heart.
Oh, absolutely.
All this, go into an older cemetery and look at the gravestones and look at the couples. Very often you'll see they'll often pass within a year or two of each other. I would say 70% of the graveyard, because it was a big, beautiful graveyard. That's why I know this. It was lovely. I used to go in there all the time, but I'm not morbid. But I would say 70% of those gravestones, you'll find that they'll pass within a year or two of one another.
Chris, I'm gonna say it's not I'm gonna politely say it's not a morbid thing. It's a beautiful thing. If we look at death as what it is, which is the next step of what we're all going to go through, okay? Dying in this physical plane because of a broken heart is not a negative thing. It's a beautiful thing because it's a devotion to that other person. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and unfortunately, to those who remain, all right, that healing process meant that that person had to no longer be in this physical plane of existence. Sorry, I was going a little esoteric there, but I just wanted to make that distinction. So many people look at dying for somebody else as this incredible pain and suffering.
Actually, I find it pretty
It's a
romantic.
devotion. It's a devotion. It's a romantic. Yes, it's a romanticism.
It's a very romantic thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's
It's a Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
So we have these ideas about the root cause of stress, right? People pleasing, not living by your highest values, you know, outside, you know, your environmental, and like you, JR and Chris, yeah, I understand that stress is the number one cause of disease. When I was watching The Truth About Cancer in 2015, they said you can eat all the organic food you want, but if you don't take care of what's going on between your ears, meaning your mental health, your emotional health, spoiler, you still get cancer. So I'd like for our audience, if they have questions, to type your questions in the thread. Like, what are your questions? What do you want to know? What's important to you? What do you need coaching on?
I would also like to add some simple things like the use of lavender oil. If you're needing to calm down, put it in your palms, right? Rub them together, smell it, put it on the bottoms of your feet, in the diffuser. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a really good
bath.
to use.
In your hot bath.
Mm-hmm.
A hot bath.
Epsom salt too, right?
I like to sometimes put a couple of drops in that, utilizing vitamin E as a carrier oil, because vitamin E is also another one that is real good for bringing those nerve endings down, right? It's also another good supplement for stress. Go ahead.
Jodi, you mentioned something about Epsom salt. Please, to the viewers of the show tonight, please be mindful of Epsom salt. I'm not against Epsom salt, but if you have dry lips, then you are dehydrated, and you cannot, should not, may not use Epsom salt, because it's going to cause your body to go more into a state of dehydration. What I recommend highly as water is drink more water. But no, if you cannot use Epsom salt because you're dehydrated, the second you know you're dehydrated is when your lips are dry. Okay, that's number one sign. Then use baking soda, and you could use the exact same ratio. So if you're using 4 or 5 cups of Epsom salt, you could use 4 or 5 cups of baking soda, and it will not dry you out as much as Epsom salt will, and it will actually moisturize your skin. Your skin is going to be soft as silk after silk.
Well, and I'll add to that. So it also helps with the pH of the water, brings it to an alkaline state versus acidic.
Correct.
And so that's why I put it in my laundry every day. When I do my laundry, I'm adding a couple cups of baking soda, because we don't have a whole house water filtration system right now. And so we put baking soda in our laundry, so at least the water is not acidic, and then that clothing is not putting crap on my body.
A good regimen for everyone to start in order to bring their body more into an alkaline state is to take half a nail bed. I know it's very little. Half a nail bed.
Or the thumbnail.
I'll use piggy nail.
Okay.
All right. Half a nail bed, okay, of baking soda in a double shot of hot water. Many people drink baking soda in normal or cold water, and it works fine, but you will not activate the benefits of baking soda unless it is put in hot water. So half a nail bed of baking soda in 2 shots of hot water. First thing in the morning, you're gonna alkalinize. Did I say that right? alkalize
Okay.
your
What if it is a
body,
baking soda?
reduce the acidity and reduce the inflammation.
Okay, so
That's
if I
something
take a baking
everyone can do
soda that
every morning.
reduces acidity and you guys, you can get a box of baking soda for under $1.
You could get Costco has like a 12-pound bag.
Oh, well,
Of
yeah. But I'm just
so
saying, if you just want to do it for that, I mean, I use baking soda all over the
Mhm.
fucking house.
I
So I
used a
got a
abundant
Costco
amount of
bag. And if
baking
you
soda.
don't belong to Costco, Amazon sells 5-pound bags. So I mean,
If,
like,
if you're not, if you're acquainted with muscle testing or pulse testing, then test however many cups of baking soda you need for your bath at night. Okay, if you're not accustomed to baking soda, to muscle testing, then just do what feels right. But to give you an estimate, if I take a hot bath, I could put anywhere between 3 and 8 cups of baking soda in my bath. Okay, and I could even there are nights where I've done up to 12 cups of baking soda in my bath. So there's no you can't OD on the stuff is what I'm saying. All right. As long as whatever feels good, or if not, muscle test it, however way you have of doing so.
okay, what are your favorite solutions, Chris, for stress relief?
Oh, there's all sorts of things. So I would like to point out there's pressure points that run up along your forehead right here. You know how often it's a natural thing when we're stressed out to do this, right? There's reasoning for that. That's because there's pressure points here. And if you will learn or can learn how to feel these, and you'll feel them from one side to the other, what's out of balance, and about 2 pounds of pressure or so you hold there for a few minutes. That will help you bring your stress level down. It's important with stress to bring the sympathetic nerve system down. For that, you use the breathing technique of at least right around 5 seconds in, hold, 5 seconds out, hold. Now, the reason that it's so important is I don't think that people understand when your sympathetic nervous system gets going way up here, other areas and parts of the brain actually will start picking up function because it's not able to do its job. So that's also why you don't think clearly when that sympathetic nervous system gets way out of whack. How can you? I don't quote me on this. It's 8 or 9 areas of the brain or so. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up again. That actually will stop doing what they're doing in part and now go do this other guy's job.
Mhm.
So breathing is so important. The 5 to 7 second rule, because what that does is it will bring the sympathetic nervous system back calm. And then your body actually has the ability now to start de-stressing. As long as the sympathetic nervous system's nuts, you're not going to de-stress. So breath work, very important. The next thing I do is, I meditate, I listen to music, I will do all sorts of things to just quiet the mind. Humming works really well. If you just sit and hum and feel that vibration come out of your head and heart space, sooner or later the brain stops and shuts down. Um, and then we have to learn how to put things away because there's a lot of stuff, right, that we can all stress on. And like these things are going to be around for a while. We're going to have more opportunity to stress about them. So the goal really is to calm down, right? Think logically and address the situation. All right, dealt with it as much as I can. I'm going to tie it up in a nice, neat little bow and file it away over here until the time comes back around where I have to open that up and stress about it again, right? Because we're really bad about doing that. We just let things eat and eat and eat and eat. So it's really important to stop, take a moment, think about it. You can't solve it at the moment. Stop stressing about it. Put it away in a box. Occupy your mind in a different direction. It is much easier said than done. But with practice, a person can get really good at it. The next thing is really smile. Even if you don't feel like it, smile.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. Sooner or later, you feel it. It's true. Sooner or later, you will feel that smile. What else do I use? I don't really use supplements and oils and things like this for stress relief because
Really?
because I have so many other things that I go to. I hum, I tap, I drum. I make a decision every morning in the morning when I get up. I'm going to be happy today and sit and thanks and gratitude, even if you don't feel like you have a lot to be thankful for, and be thankful. Because what that does is takes us out of that lower vibrating stress, and just allows us to be thankful for the blessings that we do have in our lives in the moment.
Dr. JR, what about you? What's
I
your
have two. I have two recommendations. Actually, Jodi, do you mind if we walk through one?
I'm sorry?
It takes 10 seconds. If we do a quick exercise.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody watching this show, if you want to join us, feel free to do so. Close your eyes and then just bring your eyes upwards towards the middle of your eyebrows. Okay. So as you close your eyes and look slightly upward, basically at a 20-degree angle. And what we can do is from that space count from 10 to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. As we look upward, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And come back. This is a very, very quick technique. It's actually a modified Silva method of getting into an alpha state. And an alpha brave, Jodi, we got you already. We got you already.
I know. And it's a release. Yeah.
It's very quick. It gets you in an alpha state, an alpha brainwave. Brainwave is basically that brainwave that is right before being awake and falling asleep, and that is where manifestation potential is at its peak. It's also that hypnotic state. It's right before theta, which is technically hypnosis, but it's that bouncing in between wakefulness and sleepiness. And it is where we can use the benefits of our affirmations. So find a YouTube video and find an I am affirmation video to play during the first hour of your of going to bed and then falling asleep, and you're going to reap the benefits because you're in that alpha state. What I recommend to most people
in the beginning. How are you describing the alpha state?
So it's a calm, it's a calmness with manifestation potential.
Calming state with manifestation
potential.
You want to know why I think that it's so easy to manifest in that state? Because there's not a lot of thought going on. All you're doing is feeling. And we are most powerful manifestors.
Exactly.
Feel, not when
exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly. we don't thought.
And that state, it's that simple. You could get to the point where you go 10 to 1 and just be in that state, just like we did now. We were all in that state for a few seconds, right? Yeah. You feel this melting. It's like butter melting on a pan. It's just kind of like everything just becomes calm. But For beginners, what I recommend is closing your eyes, looking upward, and counting from 100 to 1.
And don't do it when you're hosting a show.
And don't do it when you're in a body of water or
Yeah,
driving.
Yeah, well, definitely don't, or driving a car.
That's to be very, very clear. That is the no.
Don't do it when you're driving a car.
Does anybody else have a problem looking up with their eyes closed? No? Really?
It's not. You don't want to roll your eyes backwards. You don't want to create a headache. Okay, that's not the intention.
I mean, forget it.
Look slightly above. So if you're like, I'm looking at the doorknob of my closet right now. That's the level of where my head is at, and I just look at the top part of my closet, right? So I'm slightly looking up. I'm not rolling my eyes, right? But I'm slightly looking up where my attention and my intention is to reach the midpoint of my eyebrows. Okay? Count from 100 to 1, and you will be in an alpha state. And from that state, you can create and manifest whatever you desire for your life. It is that simple, folks.
All right. Well, so I'm going to give a few more hacks to stress relief. And I know you said you're not big on the nutrients and essential oils for that, but I am.
Cold exposure. Sorry.
What?
Cold exposure.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
30 seconds of cold shower.
Even the temperature will do that. And yeah. So what I'm going to say is, as someone who has struggled with stress all her life, I've got Teams meeting notifications coming through, and I thought I had my do not disturb on. Oh, I do, and it comes through anyway. Damn. Okay. So, so stress for me has been my nemesis. And so I had to find out all different types of ways. Now, I've used all the ways that you guys have mentioned, with the exception of the one that almost knocked me out cold here, falling asleep as the host. So that I didn't use. However, I love using ashwagandha. And I like this in my diet daily. So when I make banana cake, when I make brownies, when I make vanilla cake, whatever kind of cake, I have a big thing of ashwagandha powder that goes in it. You know what else goes in it? My mushroom powders. I have 12 different mushroom powders. Some are blend, and then some I have different, types of mushrooms: reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga. And the one thing that they all have in common is that every single mushroom on the planet will help you with your stress levels because they're adaptogenic herbs. What does adaptogenic mean? Well, it helps you to adapt to the environment that you're in. So if you had just one takeaway on the nutrients, it would be using adaptogenic herbs, which are like your mushrooms and your ashwagandha, those types of things, even astragalus root and holy basil. The one takeaway for essential oils are things, and I won't give you my favorite because it's irrelevant. You need to find your favorite, but you want to go with things that are grounding. So your tree oils, any of the pines, frankincense, lavender, as Chris mentioned. But I think what I also want to say about the breath work, look, and I'm not dissing the breath work. I think that the breath work is amazing, but I want to acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of people who can't breathe through their nose, and I was one of those people. So if you can't breathe through your nose, you need alternatives, and I was congested since the day I was born until I was about 53, until I figured it out. Now, there are lots of solutions if you're congested on how to handle that, but until you get to see, one of us.
Jodi, are you still congested right now?
Well, this very second, I've probably got 10% simply because
Okay.
I was drinking toxic water for 12 days.
May I do a quick exercise with you?
Sure.
Whenever, because the main thing is to breathe through the nose, and we could do a whole lecture on this at a future date, but there's extreme benefits of breathing in and out through the nose. The number one being nitric oxide, not nitrous oxide. You're not going to blow up balloons with this, all right? Nitric oxide is what your body produces, and it's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and what it does is it vasodilates. Dilates your vascular system, your arteries, your veins, your capillaries, so that you could end up getting more oxygen throughout your system.
Well,
If
yes,
you're
I mean, beets are a great resource for that,
Yes,
right? So
true.
we've been blending beets here.
Mhm,
I mean, if you had
true.
any idea how congested I was before today? I mean, I've got like almost
In,
nothing left.
in
But
order to decongest yourself for just a few minutes, in order to breathe properly, there is an exercise. All right. And the exercise is to breathe fully in through your nose, exhale through your nose, plug your nose with your fingers, and essentially shake your head left and right, up and down,
all right.
left and right, up and down. And then, in order to, until you get that gasp of air, to breathe in and let go.
We all
All right.
look hilarious, by the
I
way.
know, it's hysterical. It looks hysterical.
Probably not the
But
best time for me to do that, but yeah.
But essentially, that's going to open up your nostril airways. Okay, if you only get a certain percentage after the first time, do it a second time, so a second round. Okay, and that will really open up your airways so that you can do nasal breathing. So the rule of thumb is the mouth is made for eating, the nose is made for breathing. All right. So if you keep that in mind, try as best as you can to open up your airways, your nasal airways, in order to breathe, do some breathing exercises through your nose. Every person, every human being should do breath work every morning. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with that 100%. And I will say, once you start breath work and you understand the value in it, it's not something that you ever walk away from. I mean, it's
There's a
becomes
book.
part of your daily living, your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth in your hair.
There's a book called I'm pulling it up here on my phone, called Breathe, by or Breath by oh, I'm trying to remember his name. I'm sorry, I'm looking this up here. I apologize. Breath by James Nestor.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I'm gonna see if I could
we've
pull this
actually
picture up.
shared that one before.
This
Yep.
is the book.
Yep.
It's a yellow book. It's Breath by James Nestor, and he explains very, very clearly, very concise, very easy, why the necessity of breathing nasally, and how it could literally change the skeletal structure of your face, of your nasal passage. It's immensely interesting. So highly recommend.
Awesome.
Heck, you start doing breath work and self-care and start peeling that onion away and learning about who you are, right? The rest of you. That happens. My goodness.
I just did a breath workshop on 11/11, nonetheless. 11/11/22. That was that that was a powerful day, to say the least. But I did a breath workshop with a great friend and colleague, Damien, who is the I call him the sound maestro, the sound master. He's a master sound therapist, and the power of the breath. You could take the breath as soft and gentle as putting a baby to sleep, or as hard and deep as to get into a hallucinogenic state. Okay. So that, if you don't know what I mean by that, look up holotropic breathing. And holotropic breathing is a breathing technique that was developed by the founder, who was using LSD and mushrooms, uh, in order to promote healing to the body. And since that was made illegal, he turned to the breath to create the exact same benefits. Mind you, please, if you look up holotropic breathing, and you resonate well with it, do not do it on your own. Find a sitter or a practitioner or someone to sit with you, because this breath technique is that powerful, where I have seen people tear their clothes off during this breath, because it is a trip, in the sense that it will send you on a journey similar to LSD, similar to mushrooms, similar to ayahuasca. So please be mindful of that. The breath has that much power to it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Look at the
we have
baby, Jodi.
the show, and I want to know what you each want to close with. What should people be taking away today? What's the key takeaways?
Self-care. Hey, self-care. Learn your triggers, learn your patterns. Pay attention to your body, your temple, because I guarantee you that stress you're feeling somewhere within, and that's your clue. That's your signal. Stop, take a moment, look at it, address it, put it away.
This is my
Deal with
signal.
it, whatever the matter may be. And there are all sorts of ways, if to help you till you get to those points, to help you deal with that. Breath work, all sorts of different oils. There's a few different supplements. There's all sorts of things you can look at. I also want people to be aware that, pay attention to the times of day. If you're having a stress happening at the same time every day, that's important information to have, because maybe your stress is being kicked off by some sort of organ dysfunction that's occurring. Because let's remember, the body is on a clock, and so are our organs. They're going to process between the same hours every day, and we're all the same. We all do this.
Well, yeah, and to do that, I think it's wise to keep a journal, right? So if you're not journaling, start journaling.
Write it down.
You
If
know,
you don't have somebody to talk to,
Okay,
write
so
it.
here's the message. Sorry. So they were squawking, and they have a message. So she's the clown of the parrot family, and what she wants to say is clown around, have some fun, have some joy, right? Fezjullah? Just me.
Laugh.
Good.
and my last addition to that is be kind to yourselves.
Yes,
Be kind to yourselves. Nice.
He's an actor.
There's the last thing I want to. There's the last thing I want to say is, if you don't know what step to take, if you're hindered by what your future towards your optimal state is, call one of us. That's what we're here for. If it's not one of us, then call somebody that you deem worthy enough to help you in your journey. We're not in this alone. That's the
Yeah,
main
we're
thing.
not supposed to be doing this alone.
All
at
right.
all.
I
You know,
None of
totally.
and I'll just end with this last part. So, first of all, I want to second everything that you guys said, right? Um, and I really want to just expand upon for 1 second what Chris said about the signals in your body. When I was disabled, there was a woman I used to talk to, and I used to break out in hives. I'm like, oh, got it, right? Like I wasn't saying, hey, so and so, you're making me uncomfortable with this, and I, like it was just my reaction to her. So just listen to your body. Um, get some birds, get some cats, get some dogs, have some fun, enjoy your animals. She goes, yeah, have some fun. So she backs off when I say what she wants me to say. Uh, and so
You
we'll
know,
be here next
sorry.
month in December. What's our December date again? Do you remember, JR, Chris?
I will be in France, so it's going to be quite a time difference for me. But I will be here for sure. Let me double check
You'll
the
be
date.
where in December?
I'll be in France.
Ooh,
Wow.
how
Yeah.
exciting!
Well, the show that we're doing in December, which I think, chills. Today's a Thursday, so it would be a Thursday. So it's not the 22nd. So it's either
I think
29th, December
yeah,
29th.
I have the 29th. Is
Yeah.
that?
So it's on sleep.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about the importance of sleep, the ways to support yourself in getting to sleep, how to prepare your body for sleep, and all those good
Adequate
things.
sleep is of utmost importance, but it's not what you think.
So, all right. This has been wonderful. We want to thank our viewers today. And, so if you need a solution, you can reach out to Dr. JR in Skokie, Illinois. We all can serve remotely. And his numbers are 847-486-8000 in the clinic, and then direct 773-954-5422. Chris can be reached at 480-343-8249. I can be reached at 847-738-0242. I come with birds, so if you love them, call me. No. I'm queer. It's the highest compliment I get. So thank you. Oh, we got an echo. So let me just run this, and we will see you in a month.